Hello, Spartans. My name is Jacob, and welcome back to our second segment of the West Report. We hope this segment finds you all healthy and safe in your homes. If you missed our first broadcast, make sure to go check that out on our YouTube channel. Now, without further ado, let's get into the news. Up first, we have a story about our very own Spartan football team and their perseverance through these unprecedented times. We hear from Zach Headley in the field, who attended the West versus Northridge football game on Friday, November the 6th. On to you, Zach.
Hi, I'm Zach Headley, and I'm here at District 6 Stadium, where the Greeley West Spartans are set to take on the Northridge Grizzlies. In a turn of events earlier this week, much of Greeley Central's football team was quarantined. And so their game, the traditional crosstown rivalry between West and Central, has been moved to November 20th. The Spartans have faced a tough season so far and are hoping for a win tonight at home in Greeley.
Senior JC Piacenza had some thoughts for us on the upcoming game.
So how do you feel about the season so far?
You know, we're not doing as well as I thought, would hope we did, but, we're just keep fighting through it.
How about tonight? What's your plan?
We're going to win. I have a strong feeling. At least we want to.
Are you okay that you don't get to play Central tonight?
Yes, because we get to play another crosstown rival, but I hope that by the end of the season we get to play Central.
After a slow first half for the Grizzlies and Spartans, Coach Jason Renoff had some thoughts.
How do you think the game's going so far, and what are your hopes for the second half?
Well, so we got to put some points on the board. We got to finish our drives. I feel like we're moving the football. We just got to finish. And so, we get the ball here in the second half, and we're hoping to put some points on the board here and hopefully take the lead. So,
awesome.
Defense is doing pretty good. We just got to capitalize on don't make mistakes and finish drives.
Despite their best hopes tonight, the Greeley West Spartans come away with yet another loss. Hopefully they can make it up in the next few weeks of their season. In the meantime, I'm sure that the coaches will do everything they can to get the Spartans back on track. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for that, Zach. It was certainly a tough defeat, but I think Spartan football is a great symbol of the spirit of West. Whether it's a football game or COVID, when Spartans get knocked down, we get right back up again. And now, with things getting a little heavy, we would like to take a quick break from the news to bring you infield reporter Khu Hser who is asking just about the most random and ridiculous questions you can imagine. For more on this, we go now to Khu.
With COVID-19, the new hybrid systems, and many other changes, breaks are much needed. Implemented in the broadcast, we will be asking students silly questions for them to answer, just for a little lighthearted fun in our new broadcast. What do you like to do on your free time?
I like to hang out with my kids.
Oh.
And most of the time it's usually watching their sporting events.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
When was the last time you cried? Last week? Okay, why?
Just stress.
I see. Thank you. Have you ever made a TikTok?
No, I haven't.
Really? Okay, good. Thank you.
I'm nervous.
What's the biggest mistake you've made as a teacher?
That's a very easy one, and I'm going to go send an email to your teachers right now.
As a teacher,
Like,
I'll walk you over there.
at school?
the biggest mistake,
Are we going 6 or 7?
like something like falling in front of everyone when we was playing dodgeball against Greeley Central. I think that was probably.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
I would probably have to say I would travel to Kenya in Africa.
Oh, really?
Simply because there's just so many different cultures to look at and a bunch of different animals there, and it's just so great.
Right. Oh, that's cool. Okay, thank you. So what is the most baffling trend right now?
The most baffling trend. I would say the whole TikTok trend just in general.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
How would you describe this year in 3 words?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you have any idea?
It's really boring.
Yeah? Okay, thank you. Have you ever lied to your parents?
Yeah,
Why?
because they wouldn't let me go out to my friends.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a crush on anyone?
No.
Oh, okay, thank you. What's your favorite brand and why?
I have no idea.
Do you have any like favorite outfits or shoes or fashion? Okay, thank you. What's your? Oh,
I'm ready.
what's
Where am I
your-
looking?
I don't know.
Just look at her.
Oh, okay.
What's your most embarrassing moment in this school?
Most embarrassing moment in the school. There's so many. There's so many.
Right on the spot.
I know.
I don't know that I can answer that on the
Parent
spot.
meeting in your most Christmassy.
Oh, that's true. So we're supporting a student, and we were doing a home visit and a parent meeting, and I was decked out in the excessive accessories Christmas holiday version, and so I had a light up necklace, a light up jacket, very holiday tights, something crazy in my hair, and I had to have a very serious conversation, and it was very, very awkward. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What's your favorite class right now?
I think that my favorite class right now is Gun and Politics.
Why?
Because I think it's really important to be knowledgeable of everything going on right now,
I agree.
especially because of the election.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite teacher?
My
Wait.
quarter
No, let me restart. Who's your favorite teacher?
right now,
Yes.
Mr. Paulson.
Why?
I don't know. He's like a really laid back dude. You know, if you need help, he just helps you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
What's your favorite TikTok?
Favorite TikTok? I don't know. Probably the transition ones, just because they're cool.
Okay, why?
Just because I think it's a little difficult to make them. So it's cool.
Okay, thank you. What's your favorite trend?
I don't have one, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay,
I
thank
just don't
you.
have one.
Okay, thank you. What's your favorite food and why?
What?
Yeah. Rice? Same. I love rice. Thank you. What's your biggest fear?
The dark.
Why?
I don't know, it's just scary.
I get it. Thank you. Do you have any hidden talents? Really? Oh, okay. Thank you. If you had to choose toes or fingers?
Probably fingers.
Fingers? Why?
I don't know, I feel like you have more dexterity with them, you can do more stuff with them, because toes, can't really move them that much.
Okay, thank you. What's your favorite scent?
Like for perfume or?
Yeah, just perfume or anything.
Like vanilla.
Vanilla?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
If you could have any tattoo, what would it be?
A sun.
A sun? What? Okay, thank you. Do you think you can take me in a fight?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're small.
Okay. I hope you enjoyed the little commercial break. Now back to the news.
And now some important reminders. Remember to always wear your mask when out in public to avoid the spread of COVID. Make sure to avoid large gatherings and remember to keep washing those hands. These all become increasingly important as we approach the holidays when families may be gathering to celebrate. The last thing we want is for our Spartan students to get sick. In recent weeks, school has been a buzz as the 2020 election approached. And as the election played out over the course of several days, classrooms were filled with chatter about what the country would look like in January. In the next segment, we hear directly from two Spartan seniors who talk about what this election has meant for them and the impact it will have on the lives of Spartans as a whole. Today, I am joined by two Spartan seniors to discuss what this, to hear directly from the student body and what this election has meant for them going into this election, specifically their concerns and priorities for this country moving forward, and to provide some room for discussion on how this election has played out. I'm joined with Jasmine. Would you like to just briefly introduce yourself?
I'm a senior at Greeley West High School, and my name is Jasmine Muscala.
Awesome. Dylan?
My name is Dylan Fenton. I'm a senior. I'm enlisted into the Marine Corps, and that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. We'll just start with who you were in favor of going into the election and some of your top priorities that you were voting for or would have voted for had you been eligible to vote. We'll start with you.
Okay. Well, I was running for Biden, or going for Biden. Originally, I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, but after he was not, elected, I was a Biden supporter. What else did you ask? Sorry.
And then what are some of your top priorities going into this election?
Right. So I'm hoping that we can recover the economy after Trump's administration, as well as, aiding in our COVID cases and really decreasing in how many cases that we've been getting a day. And those are my top priorities, actually.
Awesome. Thank you. And Dylan?
I voted for Donald Trump this year. My main priorities in all of this was seeking that the United States, our economy, and our companies were getting back into working order, that American companies were getting priority as far as trade and all that, and seeking that overall American troops were coming home rather than being out in wars that had no effect on Americans.
Awesome. So both of you talked about the economy in relation to this election, but you're in favor of two different candidates. Looking at COVID and its specific impact that we've seen out west, what are some of the things that you specifically disagree with how Trump's administration has handled this pandemic?
Over the pandemic or the economy?
We'll start with the pandemic first.
Okay. Well, I think that, refusing to close down, our borders, and especially our education, we've put more kids in danger of, spreading COVID. And, I think he handled the situation completely incorrect, and which is why we have 240,000 cases. Yeah, that's it. It's really irresponsible handling from the administration.
Awesome. Dylan?
I see that as this was starting, we closed down all folks coming from China where the disease was said to have started. I think that doing that in January was rather responsible. I believe that Donald Trump having the counsel of Dr. Fauci, being someone who disagrees with him politically, but also has an understanding of the medical field, I think that it's good to see that he was crossing party lines there and seeking for just unbiased support as far as like aiding our nation and getting healthy. And that's really all I can say. I haven't really done too much looking into all of it.
Absolutely. Moving into some more recent events, the Black Lives Matter movement over the summer picked up and was a main cause going into this election for many Democrats. What are y'all's thoughts on this election and the two candidates going forward addressing institutionalized racism that many Democrats have asked to be addressed more on an administrative level with the president? We'll start with Dylan.
First off, I'm a man of law and order. I don't believe that any form of violence will, especially in something that's supposed to be conducted with civility, I don't think that any form of violence is necessary, or especially when you're working with your fellow countrymen. I am not a fan of racism, that's a bad way to put it. Racism is evil, and there's always better ways to address it. As far as seeing to it that it's eradicated, I'm unsure if anyone could eradicate evil entirely. However, as our culture is so in favor of being open and loving and very supportive of one another, I feel that with all the riots, it did nothing more than create a larger divide and did not allow for a whole lot of solidarity.
Would you like to respond to that?
Is point specific?
Yeah, or
yes.
Anything in general.
I think that it obviously created a divide. I think it also created the conversation. Many people weren't really unaware, or really were unaware of what was going on in the Black Lives Matter movement. And so, although it created some tension in America, I think it was intentional so that we can get talking about it. And as for your question about Black Lives Matter and what we can do, I think we should start, with the prison industrial complex, recovering so many, decriminalizing marijuana as well as other hard substances, as well as, desegregating our healthcare system. So many health professionals are, have a racial bias towards their patients. And so there's a lot that we can get started, and I think the Biden administration will really get that pushing forward.
Awesome. You responded specifically to violence and how you're not in favor of any form of violence. The Black Lives Matter movement specifically addressed the police reform movement and police brutality towards people of color. What is your response to that and those opinions where some Republicans are not favorable of how some of the protests took place, specifically in Colorado at our Capitol? Some of the riots going through downtown Denver. What are your thoughts on that, and what are your thoughts on what they say they're addressing, what violence already does exist in our system?
So as far as police reform, I believe that police officers should be under constant training. Just as the military is under constant training, you have to always provide results as far as your capabilities as someone in service. So police officers, I always believe, you should be able to show an understanding of the law, an understanding of conducting your duties. And in terms of violence, there's many times there's assailants of whom that go forward with violence. And unfortunately, violence sometimes must be answered with violence. As far as say a man charging after a police officer, or even a police officer charging after an unarmed person, I think that should be punished entirely. However, in a case of several examples over the many years of the United States history, there's been people on substances who have charged after police officers, and unfortunately, in that instance, a police officer must choose either their own life or that assailant's life. And as much as I wish that that was never the case, because again, perfect world, no violence. But as far as training, I'm always encouraging more and more better training. But as far as ways to stop violence, I'm unsure entirely.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Jacob, and thank you to both our participants. It's absolutely fascinating to hear some of the political voices here at West, and refreshing to see such a respectful discourse. Up next, you may have seen an email or two from Mr. Cranston throughout the school year discussing cohorts being quarantined. Field reporter Nathaniel Rudolph had the opportunity to interview some of these Spartans. Nathaniel?
Throughout the school year, hundreds of students have been quarantined at West due to presumptive and positive COVID cases. Students have to spend weeks in isolation without social interaction, a necessity of the human race. Today we will talk with students to hear their perspective on quarantine and how it affects their mental health and learning. So I guess my first question would be, how did the quarantine affect your life?
I don't think it really did a big toll. Like it was something like so drastic. Sorry, my eye was just too. But I don't think it was like something like so drastic. Like, oh my gosh, I'm quarantined. You know, like I think it was more like, I mean, like we don't go to school for 3 days. You know, but it was like one of those where it's like I was really sad and disappointed because I wanted to go to school because I actually like looking at people's faces. You know, even with the masks on. You know, so I didn't like that. And then I had to learn how to like I had like a plan, but I had to make a plan like, okay, so like if I do get quarantined again, like I have to make sure like I know what worked for me and what didn't work. Yeah. Excuse me. What worked and what didn't work. So that way, like whenever if we do go on online remoting, which we are, I have like an idea of like, okay, like I could go to my room for these classes or, you know, go to the kitchen, you know? So like I had to make a plan and see what worked and what didn't work.
I also asked students whether quarantine changed their perspective on online learning. How has the quarantine kind of changed your perspective on kind of online learning? Did it kind of put a good positive note on it, or did it kind of give a negative connotation on it?
Like I said, it's like I'm in between, so it's like a positive and a negative. So, you know, just classes online, I'd say they're a negative thing, because the teacher definitely cuts in and out. You know, you can barely understand what they're saying, or if, you know, she's trying to share a video or something with the class, it's laggy and you can't really quite hear it, something like that, you know.
But as we know, in 2020, we have learned we take many things for granted, and on quarantine, students had one aspect of their lives they took for granted. So on quarantine, what was one of the things you missed, or what was one of the things you took for granted before quarantine that could kind of make a difference now?
Definitely seeing my friends. I haven't been able to see many of my friends like in person like for a couple weeks now, and I'm not going to be able to see them for a while because of school being online now. So yeah, it's definitely seeing all my friends.
Not only have students' social lives changed, but also their daily routines, often becoming sluggish and dismissive with their personal care. And then I guess my next question was, how did the quarantine kind of change your daily routine?
It changed my daily routine because when you're at home, usually, I don't know if you noticed this, but when you're at school or at home, you usually don't turn your cameras on. You don't really speak out unless you have an urgent question or something. So kind of changed my routine by like, I don't really have to get ready because no one's going to be seeing you unless you turn your camera on or something. And like, I kind of forgot about like eating healthy. That's kind of weird to say, but like time for me just kept being on the computer and doing all these assignments at the same time that I kind of forgot like I had to eat, I had to do other stuff than just be at school and do work and assignments. So it kind of changed my routine of like getting ready, going to school, having lunch, going back to class, and doing my other activities after school. It kind of just mashed all together. And being at home all the time, it kind of like everything got smushed, and it was something that I kept forgetting to do things that were personal and not just schoolwork and focusing on everything about school.
But some kids saw this coming, and they felt prepared to take on this not-so-new way of learning. So my first question is, did the quarantine kind of affect you mentally?
No, not as much as it did the first time in freshman year. And between April, it didn't affect me as bad because I was actually more prepared this year because I knew it was going to happen.
Wow, that was certainly an eye-opener. Sounds like quarantine was quite a trying experience, and we're glad you are all doing well.
As District 6 moves to online virtual learning for the rest of the semester, we hope that students stay safe and healthy. As one of our Spartan mottos says, one for all for one, all for West. Make sure you stay engaged in classes, reach out to your friends to see if they need help with anything, and most importantly, reach out if you need help, whether it's to a friend, a teacher, or a counselor. Virtual learning is made possible when we communicate with one another. Our newscast will continue to work on bringing you updates in the Spartan lives of students and staff. Make sure you check out our website, Westward, for continuing articles. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter. Lastly, if there's something you wish to see covered, send us a lead on our new News Tips section on our website. Thank you for tuning into this segment of The Westward. We'll be back soon bringing you more information on students' lives and the Spartan family. Stay safe.